Dead bugs litter the streets. Not one of them so much as twitches anymore. Vesuvius the Inhuman has single-handedly ended the Hiverok invasion. For a while before the end, corpses were raining from the sky as Hiverok soldiers died before even touching the ground. Of course my squad and I haven't been given the all-clear, so I'm stuck waiting and watching, unable to help as poor Lark is dragged up onto another island, along with a terrifying cadre of monsters. Vita, Lady Vesuvius, and the now undead Galdra the Annihilator have engaged in a likely suicidal attack against our enemy, and I'm helpless to stop them. To my relief and surprise, I spot them a few minutes later, emerging from a massive conflagration of molten stone from the bottom of the island, no less, only for the air to suddenly solidify around them, heralding the arrival of terrifying moth-like creatures I've never seen before. Another kind of Hiverok bug, I suppose. They vanish shortly afterwards, and though I don't see any corpses within the falling ice they leave behind, I have no idea what is happening to anyone. Captain, Xavier suddenly asks, "You holding up all right?" "I'm fine," I lie. "Everyone stay vigilant. Things seem to be over, but we take nothing for granted." "Yes, ma'am," my squad choruses. I don't deserve them. We end up holding position for over an hour, Hiverok drifting away and leaving us with the dawn before the all-clear is finally called. Throughout all of it, I'm an anxious mess, the stench of dead soldiers and the exhausted breaths of my team hammering themselves into my skull as I'm forced to continue on not knowing if one of my own is alive or dead. I want Vita to live as well, of course. Lady Vesuvius I could take or leave. But Lark. She doesn't deserve this. Watcher's eyes, I hope she's okay. The team trudges back to the barracks, but I don't enter with them, instead continuing towards the gate. They've earned their rest, but I don't get to stop until I know my entire squad is safe. I stand outside the city gates for hours, my body aching with the pains of our recent battle. I only let myself relax when I finally smell her. Lark. She's alive and coming back. Thank the thank goodness. It's not long until I see her emerge from the trees, her armor completely gone and her clothing in shredded shambles. She's covered in blood, most of it hers. But she's alive and whole. I didn't lose anyone today. She is alone, though, which I find somewhat worrying. She picks up the pace, jogging towards me when she spots me waving. From the way she occasionally dips lower in her run, her leg muscles twitching, I can tell she wants to sprint. Thankfully, she spares the gate guards the heart attack that would cause. I'm already having to repeatedly assure them that the Vrithitso running directly at us isn't a threat, to rather limited success. "Captain." Lark calls out to me as she gets close. "Lark." I greet her back, opening my arms to offer a hug. I expect she'll probably need it. I turn out to be right, and she collides with me directly, collapsing into my arms. Her breathing is heavy and slightly strained, and since I know there's no way she got tired from that light jog, it's obviously from stress. "Is everyone okay?" she asks me desperately. "Our squad is fine," I assure her. "Not even a major injury. How are you holding up? What did you guys do?" We destroyed a lot," she tells me, shuddering. I squeeze her a little harder, then let go. A light hug is about all that's appropriate to do in uniform. "It was awful, Captain. They were breeding Vrithitso in these massive pits, raising them to produce more eggs. We destroyed as much as we could, but then the queens came, and we were useless. We barely survived. Vita didn't survive." "Oh. That's probably bad. Where is she then?" I ask. "She's one of the queens now," Lark whispers. "She has to be." "Well, that's fucking terrifying. Nothing I can do about that, though." "What about Vesuvius?" I press. "And what about Cthulhu?" "I don't know," Lark sighs. "We all got knocked away by a powerful blast. I think Galdra might be dead. Dead. Lady Vesuvius is alive, but she flew off after saying, well, she flew off." "Huh? That sounds suspicious, but I have better things to do than press that line of questioning." "And you?" I finally ask. "Are you okay?" "I'm fully healed," she assures me. "That's not what I asked." Lark lets out a shuddering breath, holding herself with both pairs of arms. I don't think I want to be a Templar anymore, Captain," she says quietly. For some reason, I'm not shocked by that. If anything, I feel
relieved.
That's okay,
I assure her. We'll figure something out.
I can find you a place to stay if you don't want to go back to the barracks.
No,
She answers,
shaking her head.
The barracks is fine. I want to see everyone.
Of course.
Let's go. Lark nods and I lead her into the city, ignoring the confused and terrified gate guards. They don't stop us, and that's what matters. I need to stick close to Lark as we walk down the streets, as I don't want the city guards attacking her while they sift through all the Vigor soldier corpses that need to be disposed of. We make it to the barracks before too long, and sure enough I find my squad waiting for us in the sleeping area's common room. The room stinks of even more sweat and human stench than usual, but it's almost a relief after the subtle undertones of rot that are starting to pervade the carnage outside. Bentley and Xavier cuddle together on the couch while Harvey leans tiredly on the arm of a chair. They're all out of uniform, and I gratefully take off my own helmet as I approach. The couple both wave at me, while Harvey just gives me a polite but regretful nod before departing to his room. He is, no doubt, going to pen his report to Templar Command about my misconduct. I don't hold it against him one bit. We all have to do what we think is right, and Harvey is a man that believes in structure and rules. Xavier scoots a bit further onto Bentley's lap, making room for Lark and I to fit on the couch with them. I gratefully plop onto the far edge and start taking my foul-smelling armor off, Lark carefully wedging herself between the two of us.
So,
Xavier starts. You are, kick Vigor's ass for us? Language, Lark whispers. Xavier chuckles at that, nudging her lightly in the shoulder with a fist. She smiles slightly at him. It's good to see you're okay, Lark, Xavier says. Yeah, Bentley agrees. We were worried. Is Penelope okay? She's alive, Lark sighs. I don't know if she's okay, per se. But she's alive. Vita's a bug lady now, we think. Ooh, that sounds bad, Xavier grimaces. Lady Vesuvius' words were I believe we have either decisively won the war or decisively lost it, Lark quotes, matching the noblewoman's haughty cadence to a T. I have to admit, I get a kick out of it. But for now, the battle is over? Bentley presses. Yeah, it's over, Lark sighs. We're okay until next Vigor night, I guess. There's a pause as we all take a moment to breathe, process, and rest. I feel the fluctuations in the air as members of my squad adjust in their seat, both in movement and temperature. Lark's body runs noticeably cooler than the average human's, even though her heart usually beats faster. On warm days, her breath will actually come out cold compared to the air around her, as does any air passing over her quills. Just another little detail about her alien body that I bet only Lady Vesuvius and I have bothered to notice. So, Xavier comments. That Penelope lady is a hot dragon girl with tail tentacles now. Yep, I agree. She sure is. And just, throwing this out there, nobody else looked at her and went damn, I wish I looked like that? Xavier continues. Can't say I did, I confirm. No thank you, Lark confirms blandly. I like the way I look, Bentley says. I like the way you look too, Xavier. Oh, Xavier exclaims, a fake smile splitting his face. Thanks, I mean. Yeah, thank you. But if you want to look like Penelope, I'm sure she'd find time to do that if you asked, Bentley continues, and paid her enough. Oh, but you wouldn't think that's weird? Xavier hedges. Not if it makes you happy, Bentley answers firmly. Oh, cool, an absolutely mortified Xavier squeaks. Cool. Cool. Huh? Well, I don't have any idea what sort of adorable gay chaos is going on between those two, but I hope it works out well for them. I doubt I'm gonna be their captain long enough to need to care beyond that. And frankly, not caring beyond whether or not it works out well for people is the way I like it. All things considered, that's all I really want. Maybe Vita's right about the Mistwatcher. Maybe she isn't. But I know that regardless of who's right, what I want is for people to be safe and happy. I've realized that saving someone's immortal soul is less important to me than saving whoever needs help right now. Which leaves me in an uncomfortable position, since my job is the opposite. So, Xavier yelps. In the interest of embarrassing someone else for a change. Lark. May I touch your head? What? Lark jumps slightly. Why? I wanna scratch your adorable little kitty ears.
Obviously. The terrified Vrithitso looks to me for assistance. Let yourself enjoy it, I suggest.
If you aren't enjoying it, or it's uncomfortable for other reasons, you can ask Xavier to stop at any time.
But Lark, I cut her off.
You've done it before.
We didn't have any problems. We trust you. Trusting yourself won't make you suddenly lose control, it'll just make you healthier. She glances over to Xavier, then to me again, then back to Xavier. Xavier grins and pats his lap.
Oh okay, Lark mutters, then stretches out over top of Xavier to give better access to her fluffy head. Xavier, looking absolutely delighted, starts kneading away at the base of her ears, stroking her hair, and occasionally scratching the back of her neck.
I watch for a while,
letting myself get absorbed in the hypnotic sight of hundreds of hairs flowing around his fingers as he carefully combs her chaotic tangles, pulling out detritus and occasionally coalescing water in the air to wash an area out before pulling it away to dry her again. Lark starts out horribly tense, but as the minutes pass I happily watch her muscles start to relax.
I'm the first to hear the low vibrations in Lark's throat, but soon enough her purring fills the room. I can't help but smile. I have such a wonderful squad.
Hey,
Lark?
Bentley awkwardly speaks up.
Would you like me to massage your back?
Moo? Lark eloquently asks.
Your back looks really stiff. I was just, thinking I could help with that? Probably.
At this point Lark has stretched out across the entire couch, belly down, with her talons on my lap. The giant claws on her toes are therefore pointed up at me, but I've been doing my best to ignore this. Bentley's assessment is entirely correct. Since her shirt is such a torn mess, it's easy to see the tight bunches of muscle formed by tension and stress. Though there's one obvious problem with giving her a back rub. Quills, Lark murmurs, her voice coming out slow and choppy since it's spoken mid-purr.
Why yeah,
I know, Bentley says hesitantly. But, I was thinking I could practice my kineticism magic. With fine detail and pressure work and stuff. If you don't mind being used as a test subject, I mean.
No, muse to that, Lark mutters.
Lady Vesuvius
says I'm a great test subject.
You know what,
I'm exhausted. I'm going to let that one slide.
Ooh, that's a great idea.
Xavier says excitedly.
Hey Captain, you wouldn't mind getting me a bucket of water, would you?
I chuckle and shake my head. Sure, why not?
Let me up, Lark,
I say, tapping her thigh twice.
She dutifully lifts her feet and frees me and I go to collect the bucket. By the time I get back, our little Vrithitso is purring up a storm, her quills extended towards the ceiling as a deeply concentrating Bentley uses magic to try and knead the knots out of her muscles. I can see the skin depress from invisible force, running up and down the bunches of muscles, pressing firmly around the base of each quill, and carefully applying enough pressure to get the job done without causing pain, which I suspect in Lark's case is a lot more than the average person. Does Bentley actually know how to give massages? It certainly looks like he has experience. I never knew that about him.
Thanks, Captain.
Xavier says cheerfully, the bucket instantly getting lighter as the water inside is levitated out of it. Splay those toes, Lark. She does as ordered and the water rushes over to scrub them, swirling around her feet and scrubbing with impressive precision. Damn, they're giving her the full spa treatment. I won't deny being a little jealous, both of the pampering and for the ability to actually enjoy that kind of pampering. That much physical stimulation would only make me feel worse, but Lark seems to be absolutely melting in it. Good. The poor thing needs as many happy memories as she can collect. For my part, I think I'll go to sleep. I have to spend tomorrow possibly getting charged with treason. I leave the three of them to their fun, head to my room, and quickly manage to pass out from my overwhelming exhaustion. The torture of waking seems to strike me immediately afterwards, but I know from 1,000 little tells that it's morning. Not that I really have the mental bandwidth to process that until later, as I dutifully filter through my perceptions with an obsessive fervor, knowing that if I don't manage to remember who I am underneath the unrelenting torrent of sensations then I will surely drown in them. Each breath is an agonizing eternity as every damn dust particle that brushes up against my throat tries to fight for my limited mortal attention. I am not a person, just a screaming cacophony of analysis counting each and every thread on my blanket, pinpointing every heartbeat and footstep, noting every last fluctuation of light from behind closed eyelids.
Only when Elisaveta lives again do I get out of bed, finally pieced together and ready for the day. I woke up because someone was knocking at the door. They're still knocking. No wonder it was so damn hard to put myself together. I'm coming, I growl, heading for the door. I don't recognize their smell, so it's probably a new Templar or an aide or something. Sure enough, opening the door reveals a mousy-looking young man with a large, crinkled nose and an arrogant expression. Captain Elisaveta, he greets, holding out his hand to shake. A pleasure to meet you. I don't take his hand. Likewise, Mr. Gondelweld, he introduces himself. Though you're welcome to call me Gon. His hand is still raised to shake. I still don't take it. I'm dressed in underthings and a cotton shirt, no gloves. Besides, this man pissed me off before I was even conscious. And your reason for waking me up this morning, Gondelweld? I prompt. You have been summoned by the Templar Council, he reports. I sigh. I figured that would happen, but I didn't expect them to send such an annoying man. The damn bastard still has his hand out to shake, as if he's entitled to touch me with those greasy hands of his. Ugh, look at those twitching, dripping paws. And all that dead skin flaking off. Gross, gross, gross. I will get dressed and report to them immediately, I assure him, and slam the door in his face, causing him to stub his fingers. I call out a half-hearted apology and quickly get my armor on, strapping my weapons into their ceremonial positions. I cast Soul Sight and Soul Shield, as is my habit every morning, and take a deep breath through my mouth. Here it is, I suppose. I hope the council can see reason. Gondelweld, which is somehow the actual name of a living, breathing human, is still waiting for me when I open the door, sucking on the tips of his sore fingers. Yeah, now I'm definitely not touching your hand, buddy. Even his soul is disgusting, like a giant yellowish glob of earwax with only the smallest dab of pulsating red to break up the sheer, unpleasant monotony of his being. Captain. Lark calls out to me, emerging from her room and scaring the shit out of Gondelwendel. May I join you? Sure, I agree. I don't see why not. Templar Lark should remain in the barracks, Captain, Garglewald insists. Has to, or just should? I press. Because as her captain, I already revoked the standing order against allowing her to make public appearances. It is your standing as a captain that is being put into question, Garglewald answers snidely. Well, until that question is answered I need to see a written order from a general before you can tell me what to do, I counter. She has no business at the Templar Command Building, Captain, Gobbleweld whines. Well, that's not true at all, Lark says, holding up a piece of paper. I need to turn in my letter of resignation. What? You can't. Per the law, she very explicitly can, I cut him off. And I'm sure she could recite that law to you, but how about instead you stop wasting my time? Let's go get this over with. I strut out into the common room, where I find Xavier and Bentley sleeping on the couch together. Xavier stirs as we walk by, elbows his boyfriend, and then the two of them quickly jump to their feet, following me as well. Gah. I have a whole procession of ducklings, now, but I just want to get fired and take a nap. Out on the street, Lark stays close to me and does her best not to panic about the many people staring at her. She's thankfully gotten herself a less shredded outfit. I suspect she probably weaved it overnight. As usual, the Templar uniform and the presence of a perfectly happy-looking Xavier and Bentley in civilian clothes go a long way towards indicating that she's not a threat, but her ears are still flat against the top of her head in shame. Despite that, though, she seems to be doing better. I wouldn't describe her as relaxed, but, well, she's certainly a lot more relaxed than usual. Unfortunately, I can't say the same about myself. Not only am I walking towards a conversation that might end in my death if things go particularly poorly, but it sounds like that's just going to be the start of my troubles. A strange, quiet sound cuts the wind a long way from here, but I recognize it nonetheless. Nothing else in existence has the same wing shape, after all. Vesuvius the Inhuman is coming, and for whatever damn reason she's heading right towards us. Her speed is absolutely insane, but she slows down as she gets closer to us, her enormous body and even more massive set of wings hovering to a stop just above us. While the last time I saw her she shone red, her scales are now a brilliantly crystalline white, nearly translucent. She's absolutely dazzling to look at, and if I'm not mistaken she's even taller than she was a day ago,
now standing at an absolutely massive 7 feet tall. Not that she's actually standing right now, since the talons of her feet are currently holding the headless yet still sapient corpse of Galdra the Annihilator. At least, I assume it's Galdra the Annihilator's corpse, though it's always possible she's messily decapitated a second person and stuck her soul in there before dressing it in High Templar armor. Hopefully Galdra is trussed up with copious amounts of magical glyphs and metal bindings, and while I can't exactly tell from her non-existent expression, I imagine she's rather nonplussed about the whole affair. "Ah, Lark, there you are," Vesuvius says with a horrifyingly casual blandness. "If you don't mind, I need you to ask Galdra here a few questions." What? Lark stutters, staring up at the massive, shining, tentacle-tailed, and still entirely butt-naked dragon lady. "Why me?" Galdra is currently under 5 direct, standing orders that she is incapable of disobeying, Vesuvius explains, landing in front of us with a loud crash and pinning Galdra to the ground with a scaly foot. "One prevents her from using animancy, which is fortunate but not useful. One forces her to answer Vita's questions, which naturally has no effect when Vita is not present. One forces her to inform Vita of any escape plans, which is likewise lacking in immediate utility. One prevents Galdra from considering herself important, which is amusing, but likewise useless. But the last order is to answer any question I ask her to the degree of detail she believes I desire." Lark finishes. "I see. Should we, go somewhere else for this?" First Lady Penelope Vesuvius the Inhuman looks around at the massive yet terrified crowd of gawking bystanders surrounding us, and grins. "No," she says. "Here will work quite nicely. Ask her if she aided or abetted the criminals responsible for the Skyhope Perception event." My breath catches. "Oh, fuck, I remember this. Vita told us about this. She claimed the Templars were behind the Perception event, that she had evidence of it and tried to stop it but failed. I remember that day when thousands upon thousands people died to a god's wrath, the very thing we Templars exist to prevent. I was patrolling out of the city that day. A lot of us were. We called it lucky." "Captain," Lark says quietly, turning to me. "Is this a trick?" "Ha. It could be a trick, I suppose. That's entirely within Lady Vesuvius' power. It could be a massive, elaborate falsehood perpetuated by animancy and malice. I certainly know that's what the church is going to say, but what makes me pause here is that most everyone here will believe that. When the Templars match their word against the naked dragon lady, the Revenant, and the Vrithitso, the Templars are going to come out on top so hard it won't even be a competition. So why is Lady Vesuvius bothering to put on a show? Why lie, if it'll just worsen her position? This isn't her mo. It isn't Vita's. And I know how being a Revenant works and I heard the order Vita gave. Whatever comes out of Galdra's mouth is going to be the real truth." "I don't think so, Lark," I tell her quietly. "But it's up to you if you want to ask." She nods. She swallows. She opens her mouth to speak. And then Braum the Ubiquitous appears in a dramatic clap of thunder. "Penelope Vesuvius," he declares loudly. "You are under arrest for animancy, blasphemy, murder, and treason. You will cease your illegal action, release the corpse of the High Templar, and submit yourself to trial immediately." Vesuvius blinks at him. "No. Then you leave me. Your real body is on the 2nd floor of the 5th house 3 streets afterward," Penelope says, cutting him off. "If you insist on attempting to arrest me using invalid authority." Braum's illusion swings a fist at lightning speed, and Penelope catches it. The crack which rings out over the street nearly bursts my eardrums, and when the ringing subsides the dragon woman continues. "I will slay you. But you are a good man, Braum. Better than your superiors. You have earned the opportunity to back down." "I am not the sort of coward who would deny my duty just because it risks my life," Braum growls. "Ah, I see," Penelope nods. "My apologies, I did not mean to insult you. In that case, in the unfortunate event that you force me to kill you, I will also kill 100 other citizens of Skyhope, chosen at random." I shiver, searching her face for even the slightest hint of a tell, the barest iota of falsehood. There is none. She's serious. She's dead fucking serious. The smartest civilians around turn and book it at that, though most of them stick around. "You? Why?" Braum asks. "Why would you even threaten such a thing?"
Because I wish to spare your life, obviously,
she answers flatly.
You're just being difficult about it.
So tell me, is 100 people worth your honor?
If not, what about 1,000?
You're insane, Braum accuses. Only if my gambit fails, my dear High Templar. Now may I proceed, or do you somehow still believe you can stop me?
He's speechless for a moment, and then he vanishes. I suppose that's as good as giving an answer. Penelope turns back to Lark with a placid smile, as if nothing happened.
Ask,
she orders calmly.
Lark swallows and nods, approaching the pinned body of Galdra. Did you aid or abet the criminals responsible for the Skyhope perception event?
She asks.
Galdra moves for the first time,
her body squirming uncomfortably.
I see her soul in her body,
the threads pulling her around from the inside. When she speaks, it's really her.
Yes, she hisses.
I did. I was ordered to do so. The church called it divine justice.
Said it was the natural fate of any society as squalid as ours.
There is no silence in the world, not for me. But the city gets closer to it at that moment than it has in a very long time. Why?
Lark asks,
horror dripping from her voice. Because I was told to, I just said that,
Galdra hisses.
Why should I care that a bunch of rich idiots die? The church says kill, I ask how many. In exchange I get to blow off my handler without consequence, and the fat fucks in charge get to act like they have control over me. They probably even believed it. Their plan was batshit fucking insane, but it worked. The church is now a higher power than the king. Everyone with a brain knows it. The way the world is meant to be, they said. Crazy fucking bastards. Ask her why the alliance with Vita was denied, Penelope orders next. Why did Command refuse an alliance with Vita?
Lark dutifully asks.
I don't know, Galdra growls.
Really? Penelope asks, raising a scaly eyebrow.
If I could fucking lie to you I would, you can't.
Galdra snaps, thrashing against her bindings.
Let me go. The crinkling sound of paper worms its way into my cognition, and I glance down at Lark's hands, each shaking and curled so tightly into fists that her own blood starts dripping lightly from her claws. I just feel hollow. What would you speculate are the reasons? She demands, unprompted. I don't know. Vita is batshit crazy and needs to die, but even I think it was a dumbass move to put her priority before us fucking Rainier. I was just following orders on that one. Oh, fascinating, Lady Vesuvius comments. You note that the alliance being suggested is against Ars Rainier. Isn't the official position of the church that the man is dead? Again, out of nowhere, a clone of Braum appears, his fist already moving to its target. He's not swinging at Penelope this time, however, but at the revenant at her feet. With a resounding crack that shatters the stone road below, he strikes Galdra's body. And it isn't the least bit damaged. A nice try, Braum, Penelope says pleasantly, but no. He lets out an aggravated sigh, standing up to face the giant-scaled woman. My superiors have ordered me to slay you and the revenant, he informs her grimly. Despite my ultimatum? Penelope clarifies. Despite your ultimatum, Braum confirms. How unfortunate, Vesuvius the Inhuman answers. In that case, please inform your superiors that I am taking every surrounding citizen of Skyhope hostage. If you so much as engage me in combat, I will unleash a plague that will kill everyone within a mile. She says it loud enough for everyone to hear. Now everyone turns to run, but the panicking crowd find their escape routes blocked off by invisible walls of force. There is a horrifying pause as Braum does not respond, presumably speaking to those in charge of him regarding how to respond. They believe you are bluffing, Braum eventually answers. Lady Vesuvius holds out a hand and a young man from the crowd is yanked by the neck towards her outstretched palm. Immediately, Braum moves to intercept the man before Penelope can grab him, but his illusion bursts, disintegrating dramatically into motes of light and letting the innocent man smack painfully into her claws. Braum reforms immediately afterwards, but he seems helpless to assist the hostage. The terrified man scrabbles desperately against Lady Vesuvius's grip, terror overtaking him as she cuts off his windpipe. And slowly, dangerously, all throughout this utter madness, Penelope's scales start to shift from white to red. Do I look like the sort of woman to bluff about this, Braum the ubiquitous? She asks, her voice bubbling with the first hint of anger I've heard since she got here. You.
You have nothing to gain from such indiscriminate slaughter, Braum insists. Penelope stares at him.
The man chokes.
You would make yourself a monster in more than body, Braum insists. Penelope doesn't move an inch. This is Skyhope. Your home. You've spent your entire life serving this city.
Braum shouts.
You as well, Penelope answers calmly. So will you leave me be, or let it die?
They're ordering you to fight, aren't they?
Penelope asks, shaking her hostage once as he chokes. They care about my death more than their own people's lives.
Do you?
Damn you, Braum hisses. Is this what you wanted?
Whatever do you mean?
Lady Vesuvius asks coyly, her scales turning slightly yellow.
If your personal values are conflicting with your orders, that would be quite strange.
Why would your superiors be so desperate to prevent me from having a conversation with a dead woman that they'd risk the entire city? You still have my biological weapons lab here.
I can kill you all with a thought.
What do they expect you to do?
They are not changing their minds, Braum whispers.
How awfully foolish, Penelope notes. Are you going to follow your orders like a good little dog, then? Damn you, Braum repeats. Damn you, Vesuvius. He disappears as his answer once more, and Penelope smiles, loosening her grip on her hostage and letting him breathe again. She brings him carefully to the ground, holding him by the shoulder as she releases his throat to prevent him from running as she casts a spell to heal the damage she just caused. The barrier preventing the 50-plus people on the street from fleeing doesn't disappear, though. People of Skyhope, Penelope intones, and her voice carries impossibly far, bolstered by magic. You know me, or you know of me. You're War Lady of Miracles. You're Baron of Wood. You're Watcher-touched healer. You have seen my toils for this city and reaped their benefits. You called my name in the streets, and my cognomen in your homes. I am Vesuvius the Inhuman. She lets her hostage go, standing back up to her full height. As you can see, I have embraced the title. I will not pretend to be a good woman. You have seen my measure today. But so, too, have you seen the measure of your current rulers? They who would sacrifice you like sheep to keep their secrets. They who are just as monstrous, yet hide behind righteousness. They who lied about Ars Rainia's death for over 15 years, they who brought the Mistwatcher's wrath upon us all. And when I came too close to uncovering their evil, I was kidnapped and my soul was torn asunder. I am the monster they made, those liars and cowards of the church, and I will not rest until their evil is brought before the God they falsely claim to worship. It's a chilling speech. Perhaps not a compelling one, considering that Lady Vesuvius just scared the ever-loving shit out of her main audience. But the whole city just heard those words, and rumors will start to fly about the context behind them. They won't be very compelling on their own. But if Braum resigns, that might change things. The quintessential straight-laced guy suddenly losing his position will seem like there's truth to the corruption at the highest level of the church. It's not the worst plan, though it certainly had a few too many genocide threats for my taste. For my part, I still just feel numb. Every bit of logic I can scrounge up tells me this is true, but I still can't believe it. It's too much. I've devoted my entire adult life to the Templars, and I barely even got a childhood. They've been my dream, my reason for being, my shining beacon of good in a fucked up world that just keeps getting worse. I've seen, time and time again, how we don't live up to our values. But we're only human, right? We all make mistakes. Perfection is impossible. All I had to do was look towards the good, and I'd find it. All I had to do was look away from the evil, and I'd stop seeing it. I've given them everything. Everything. It can't be true. Now then, Penelope says, turning to Galdra. I suppose it is time to put the architect of my misery out of her own. What? The late High Templar snaps. I did everything you wanted. Under duress, yes, Penelope answers blandly, her scales getting darker. That counts. Galdra insists. Look, I'm not going to fuck with you again, Vesuvius. I learned my lesson. Ah, so you intend to cooperate, Penelope says calmly, her scales dipping into a deep, hateful black. It's funny. Back when I was first captured, you implied that you were a lot like me, just older and more experienced. And when I begged you not to alter my soul, when I promised I would simply cooperate to avoid the fate you planned for me, you asked, will you actually? or will you try to be the clever little bitch you so desperately need to believe you are? She stomps down on Galdra's arm, smashing it into half-rotten, half-desiccated flesh dust. Galdra hisses in pain, the threads of anima holding that part of her body together shattering.
But I'm already on your side,
Vesuvius, Galdra hisses.
whether I like it or not. Your pet lich got me. Your cute little necromancer girlfriend.
She'll want me alive.
We both know I'm quite the catch.
And you've already proved you can lock me up and keep me under control as much as you want. That's true, Penelope muses, seeming annoyed.
Even if it's only to eat you, Vita will want you alive.
But there's a slight problem with that argument, Lady Cathala. Penelope's massive tail starts winding around Galdra's body, surrounding her and lifting her bodily up to meet her face to stump.
I don't care all that much about what Vita wants anymore,
Vesuvius the Inhuman hisses.
You made sure of that.
She flexes her massive tail and Galdra's body is crushed into paste, her soul annihilated forever.
I watch wordlessly as Penelope takes a deep, slow breath,
the tiniest of tensions flowing out of her as the mangled corpse drops down to the earth.
I enjoyed that too much, she declares quietly to herself. I'll have to make adjustments.
Lark staggers forward, dropping to her knees and putting a still bloody hand atop the former High Templar's shattered armor. Tears drop down from her eyes,
mixing with and smearing the black.
Fuck, she swears.
No one has anything to say for a while after that.
Xavier and Bentley have simply stood in silent horror throughout the entire engagement, and the rest of us join them now, except for the bystanders, who are all finally getting the chance to flee.
Penelope, master of tact that she is, has to be the one to break the silence. Well, she begins, clearing her throat.
I suppose I should get going. I have a coup to lead, after all. Lark, Yelisaveta,
Bentley, Xavier.
Would you like to join me?
We stare at her, dumbfounded.
Why would you even want me,
Lady Vesuvius? I ask.
Melissa misses you, she answers simply. I feel my jaw open, then close, then open again.
No, it's not.
It's one thing to say that maybe the scriptures aren't exactly 100% true. It's another thing entirely to claim that the people in charge of leading the institution of the world's morality are mass-murdering psychopaths.
I can't believe it. I can't. I have a meeting with Templar Command, I say dumbly. They summoned me. Somehow I doubt they'll be holding audiences today, Penelope replies sardonically.
I have a meeting, I repeat.
Am I shaking? Braum.
Hey, Braum.
There's no way you're not still listening right now. You're with them, aren't you? I have a fucking meeting.
Sure enough, one of Braum's illusions appears before me, keeping a careful distance away from Penelope. I believe your meeting has been de facto cancelled, he answers flatly, and suddenly I'm furious.
I need to scream at something. Braum, I hiss. What's my sentence? No sentencing has been decided, he informs me. There is to be a round of questioning first.
Well, I've got a fucking question, I demand. Did they do it? He takes just a little bit too long to answer.
Did they fucking do it? I shriek.
They deny any such plot,
Braum says.
Show me.
Pardon? You are the best damn chiromancer in the city. I shout at him.
Show me. I want to see their face when they answer. I want to hear the words as they sound from Command's mouth.
Let me see it.
Again, Braum pauses and I almost punch him. It's not true. It's just slander, or a misunderstanding, or something. I didn't spend my entire fucking life working for monsters. Braum's illusion puts its palm face up, and above it I see the projected face of one of the men in Templar Command.
Of course we didn't allow it to happen, the illusory head says with the man's voice. The accusation is patently absurd. And he's lying. I see it in his eyes. I hear it in his voice. He's lying.
The illusion ignores so many details, it has so many imperfections, but it doesn't matter because he's still clearly, obviously lying as easily as he breathes. My every instinct tells me so. Is this what I've been serving? Every strange patrol around the time of the perception event. Every abuse I failed to stop and justified to myself in Site 4. Every fucking death caused by Vita because not a single damn person making the decisions would just listen to me and leave her alone. All of it, all those times I thought they knew better, all those times I thought I was doing the right thing, All those times I thought I could be proud of myself for helping people. I was just helping these greedy, murderous, power-hungry bastards.
Liar, I hiss.
He's a liar. I'm cancelling my meeting permanently, Braum. I resign.
I'm afraid you can't resign, Inquisitor Yelisaveta, Braum answers weakly. You know animancy. To not be an Inquisitor would break Vulcan law.
I glance at Vesuvius. She's smiling, because fuck her.
But still.
Better the woman who admits she's a monster than the monsters that call their evil justice.
I declare. I renounce my position in the Templars regardless of the law.
And until it is reformed,
I renounce my citizenship in Vulca itself. You do not hold power over me.
I do the same, Lark declares. Not that I was ever a citizen of Vulca. Or even a person to most of you. You just used me to try and kill anyone inconvenient for you. Yeah, I'm fucking out too,
Xavier growls.
Fuck all of this, I'm siding with the hot dragon lady. I trust my captain, Bentley says. I trust Xavier and I trust Lark too. I go where they go. Damn it. I have the best squad. What about you, Gongle Dungle?
I ask,
turning to the shivering aide who got me up this morning. You want a defect too?
No.
He squeaks in horror, snapping out of his terrified stupor with a jolt when I address him. No, you're all insane. Yeah, I hated you the moment you knocked on my door, I grumble.
Well, there you go.
You fucking win, Vesuvius. We're with you. What a wonderful start, she muses happily. Hang on to me, would you? She holds out an arm and, after only a moment's hesitation, we all grab on. A flash of magic crashes over us and suddenly we're in a different place entirely, deep in the forest and surrounded by bustling humans, monsters, and undead all working together. Vita's camp. It's grown far beyond what I ever expected. It's beautiful, it's terrifying, and immediately I'm gripped with the fear that I made some horrible mistake. Now then, Penelope says with a smile, clapping once to get our attention. Who's ready to become immortal and take over Verdantop? Yeah. There it is. Wow, my mouth says, entirely of its own accord. This is unbelievably fucking wild. Right? I think. My life is so messed up I didn't even realize how messed up it was until recently. Yeah, this is a lot, my voice agrees. I can definitely see why you broke up with me. And here I thought you'd just forgotten all the good times we've had. Nope, I remember a lot of them. They're just recontextualized. No kidding. This pentachick seems like a real piece of work. I wonder how your island knew the name Nora. I guess there was a failed invasion and we all went non-sapient? I'll look into it when I run the place. That's the spirit, Malrosa. I try to smile, but of course it doesn't work, since my body isn't currently my own. I'm chatting with Bariga, as letting them slurp up all my memories was the fastest way to get them up to speed. It's weirdly nostalgic, but also weirdly uncomfortable in that frustratingly sexy way I always hate. I have such a weird fucking kink. Or is it had? I guess I'm still into it, I just very firmly don't want to be. Being two people is hard. Yeah, it seems like a mess, Bariga agrees. You're a pretty different person from my Malrosa. But you're still in there, to some extent. So that's some kind of reassuring, I suppose. It actually is reassuring. It's been a 10 days since Malrosa and Vita merged into whoever the fuck I am now, and Malrosa is still a significant enough part of me to not be uncomfortable calling myself that. It's comforting to not die when I am killed. Yeah, that poor Melik bastard, though, Bariga sighs. He's pretty much gone, yeah? Pretty much, barring some memories and knowledge. But even the spells and stuff he knows are primitive and somewhat useless by a Thanatos standards, so that's kind of redundant now. He was gonna die anyway, Bariga shrugs with my shoulders. It's not that big of a loss. I laugh at them. You shrug now. My savage habits have infected you. Damn it. Bariga swears, and I mentally laugh even harder. Anyway, now that you know the story, I continue, expertly changing the subject. Do you want to come with Tala and I to the Tear Basin colony? You can take my body or yours, I don't really mind either way. Yeah, I think I'm done with your body forever, to be honest, Bariga says, causing my body to shudder slightly. Like no offense, I love what we had,
But you're technically my aunt now, Malrosa. What? I ask. Nora is my mom, remember? Baraga reminds me. Vita is Nora's sister. You're Vita. That makes you my aunt. Oh. Huh? I mean, I'm only like half your aunt. That makes you no less creepy to be inside of, Baraga grumbles. Not to mention terrifying. They reach out to touch their vacant shell of a male body before swimming back inside. He stretches a bit, brushing himself off as I do more or less the same. Re-establishing bodily autonomy always has a short adjustment period. What's she like, anyway? I ask him, standing up and rolling all four of my shoulders. Nora, I mean. I've only talked to her once. Do you know her any better? Yeah, I'm first generation, Baraga confirms with a sigh. Nora crafted me personally. She's. They get silent for a while, twitching nervously a bit. She's dangerous, they conclude. You've talked to her enough to know that. She makes sapient bioweapons for fun. I'm one of only a few of my siblings that she didn't eat. I live here in Liriope because it's one of the only places that's more or less safe from her. She and the progenitor. I mean, I wouldn't call them friends in any sense of the word, but they meet each other for tea and stuff. Old lady shit. I've never had tea before, I mention idly. Your life is so fucking sad now, Malrosa, Baraga sighs. Yeah, I guess it is, I agree, grimacing a bit. Or at least performing the Athanatos equivalent. So like, are we still friends? Or is this too weird for you? I know you already ended the whole sex part of the relationship, but I agree on that. That's a big no from me, Baraga insists. I'm not into it if you're not into it anyway. But are we friends? Fuck yeah, if you wanna be. Like, come on Mal, you think I'm going to judge you about suddenly having another person's memories shoved into your soul? Really? I chuckle at that. Okay, silly question I guess. You're damn right. That said, no, I don't want to go to the Tear Basin colony. If I head out there, Queen Dalakana will probably order me to infiltrate rebel groups for her. I'll stick with the safety and security of Liriope, thank you. Oh yeah. I keep forgetting I can order anybody to do anything I want without having to kill them first. That's so weird. Yep, that's the weird thing here, you got it, Baraga sighs. You're heading out tomorrow, right princess? Make sure you're ready. Tear Basin is pretty much safe, but it was conquered traditionally, before we domesticated the Vrathitso. There's still a bunch of hidden savages acting as petty terrorists. I snort at that. I mean, I assume we slaughtered them and took their land, so yeah. Why wouldn't there be? He shrugs, then notices he just shrugged again and scowls furiously at me. Damn your weird human body instincts, he grumbles. Anyway, there's not enough of them. The Iberian population remaining on that island has got to be like quadruple digits at most. Dalakana was thorough, and when there is an attack the perpetrators don't tend to survive the reprisal. There's no way they can win, and even if they do win they wouldn't have the population to use the vast majority of what we'd leave behind. They just attack out of spite. Good to know, I guess, I sigh. I'll prepare accordingly. I glance longingly in the direction of my workroom. I still haven't finished refining the enchantments on my custom armor, and I had to cannibalize most of my allotted recreation metal as well as my red dragon scale armor to make it work as well as it does now. Which is not terrible, but not impressive. I suppose I'll bring the armor anyway, but just to work on it in my spare time, not to wear it. I'll use my day-to-day set for general wear. Though if I do make a breakthrough and get my custom armor working, I'd love to try it out. You look like you want to head back to your workshop, Baraga chuckles. Should I leave you to it? Huh? Oh. Yeah, thanks Baraga. I appreciate you being cool with it. Why wouldn't I be cool with it? Even ignoring all the great times we've had together, I'm not going to say no to being friends with someone like you. You're just a few steps short of divinity now, girl. I'd be a fool to cut you out of my life just for being a little different in the head. The progenitor obviously feels the same way, what with her offer to train you next month. She doesn't do that for anybody. Yeah, I figured she had largely selfish motivations, I sigh, leading Baraga out of my room and into the hall. I don't have the slightest problem with that, though. That was most of my relationships for most of my life, really? Hell,
I got my girlfriend by accidentally being convenient for her evil scheme.
Yeah.
Good luck with her, Baraga grimaces. That's one fucking traumatic breakup you two had.
We didn't break up, I protest.
She had her love for you scraped out of her soul by an abusive sociopath, and then she escaped by fucking up her soul even worse after turning herself into a progenitor damn dragon. And during no part of that did we break up, I point out calmly.
We're just,
going through a rocky patch. I'm gonna go meet back up with her and we're gonna take over an island, and if there's one thing Penelope wants on a good date, it's unrestrained conquest.
It'll be fine. I'll woo her scaly tail off.
You're going to woo her, Baraga repeats flatly. You, Miss Vita, you were much less naggy before you got a crush on me. Malrosa, are going to woo someone.
Yes,
that's basically the plan, I confirm.
Baraga shakes their head.
Girl, you couldn't woo the horniest man on the island,
he protests.
I give him a confused look. Why the fuck would I want to woo the horniest man on the island?
I ask, dumbfounded.
I don't need to know how to woo some gross breeder. I just need to woo Penelope. Baraga snorts with amusement and waves goodbye, walking to the exit as I turn towards my workshop. See ya, princess, he says. And good luck.
I think you'll need it.
I wave him off, stepping halfway into my workshop before I stop and turn to a nearby servant.
I'd like to add someone to my retinue for the trip, I inform him.
A translator. Someone who speaks Iberian.
Yes, princess, the man says. He bows and I know it will be done. Now then. I have enchantment refinements to test, and human taught spells to fix. Gleefully drumming my fingers together, I sit down at my desk and get to work. The next thing I know, my neck is sore and I'm regretfully becoming conscious thanks to my irritated-sounding sister shaking me awake.
Mal. Talanika whines. Wake up. Did you spend all night in your workshop? We're scheduled to use the teleporter. You know it can't hold a full charge for long. We gotta go.
Up. I respond eloquently, slowly opening my eye hexes one after the other so I'm not blinded by the tyranny of morning. Gosh, your eyes are so pretty now, Tala sighs. I'm really jealous. You are a very lovely color. I stiffen up with embarrassment. Thanks, I mutter. You can probably use life to make yourself look the same, you know. I'm genuinely tempted, she admits. Now seriously, get up. The servants are waiting for us. I groan and rise to my feet, stretching out my sore wings and thrumming them a bit as I scratch my armpits with my soul tendrils. I can't believe I passed out on my chair again. It's such a waste of my ultra-comfy bed. Still, I let Tala push me out of my house and down the road to the teleportation platforms. It's not really a huge deal if we miss our scheduled port. They take about a day to charge up for max range movement, so we'd just have to go tomorrow. Right now the islands are too far away to do bulk water and resource teleportation, so we can use them for personal reasons, but that won't be the case fairly soon. More importantly, it'd be very rude to all the workers we roped along to come with us to just ditch them because my sleeping schedule is garbage. Said workers are why I don't have to worry about luggage or anything. I'm carrying my custom armor set, but everything else was already packed for us. Since the teleportation platforms are mostly used to ship goods, they're a bit outside Liriope proper. It's not a long walk, but once I finish waking up Taula and I lift into the air and take the fast way, flight. I will never stop loving this. The first spell I tweaked was the flight propulsion art, making one redesigned for constant uptime and finer control over my momentum. It's amazing. No gross body parts dictating how I move, just me. We land at the teleportation platforms, meeting up with a group of men that have been waiting there with our stuff. Wait, Tala says. Why is there one extra of you? I did that, I tell her. I'm bringing a translator. An Iberian translator? Tala asks. Why? To talk with Iberians, obviously. Which one of you is the translator? I am, my princess, one of the workers says, clasping his hands together in a gesture of respect. Thank you for coming on such short notice, I tell him. What's your name? I'm go speak with those savages so I don't have to, my princess. Wow. I turn to Taula and give her a look. What? She yelps defensively. I didn't name him. I'm sure the title has a deep and honored history. It's not very respectful, I mutter.
Mal, you're gonna have to let some of this whole savage obsession go, it's not gonna disappear from language overnight.
I meant it's not very respectful to him, I hiss quietly. What do you mean? She asks.
I groan. Yeah, this isn't gonna get anywhere. I wave her off and get into position on the teleportation platform, and everyone else does the same. A worker at the platform checks and double-checks everything to make sure we're safe to travel, then activates the setup. Faster than a blink, we're on an identical-looking platform in a very, very different building. Liriope's stone walls are mostly brownish rock, carved by workers in a very straight, geometric style and lit with the artificial glow of God's avarice. We're very clearly not in Liriope anymore, the pale stone curving gradually with the smoothness of molten glass. The floor simply inclines slowly upwards into walls, which gingerly curve into ceilings, utterly devoid of any kind of edge. There isn't much stone in the ceiling, most of it having been replaced by pristine, clear glass, lighting the room with nothing but the brilliant yellow glow of the upper mists. The whole building is a work of art crafted by an alien, and it takes my breath away.
Whoa, Tyler whispers. No offense, but this is way prettier than your city, Mal. No arguments here, I sigh. Skyhope was a shithole before the one below all ripped it a literal new asshole. Tala manages to peel her eyes off the architecture long enough to give me an incredulous look. Literal new asshole? The center city is used for waste disposal now, I inform her. So our island now has a giant hole that all our shit drops out of. Anyone suffering nighttime thanks to Verdantop will have to learn to fear looking up. PFFT, oh fuck, that's so gross, Tala laughs. Princesses, a stern and tired-sounding woman intones. It's so lovely to have you here. A queen approaches us, and I can only assume it's Queen Dalakana, the ruler of the Tyr Basin. Her work in this place supplies Liriope with just over half its total water consumption, which obviously makes her one of the most important queens in the colony. Despite this, I hardly know anything about her. I've never met her in this body, so I don't have any memories of the woman. She wears a long, purple dress that splits apart into long ribbons just below her waist and glitters in the light. Tall and lithe, she regards us with the kind of empty, purely diplomatic expression that could mean just about anything. She's accompanied by 10 soldiers, all heavily armed and armored. It's a stark contrast to her casual dress, a concession to her safety on a woman that otherwise doesn't seem very worried about an attack. I can hardly blame her for her confidence. She conquered this island, after all. I'm sure that the War Queen knows exactly what her limits are. And that her enemies here are far, far below those limits. It's lovely to see you as well, Queen Dalakana. Tala answers chippily. It's been, 22 years? Indeed it has, Princess Talanika, the Queen nods, a bare hint of a smile reaching her eyes. You were still on your first cycle then. It reminded me of my own daughter. And Princess Malrosa, it's good to see you again as well, although I'm told you likely no longer remember me. I'm sorry, Queen Dalakana, but I'm afraid that is correct, I confirm, bringing my palms together apologetically. From my perspective, this is our first meeting. It's fine, I hold no illusions of being memorable, the woman replies sardonically. You may have lost much, but losses are how we grow, little princess. You'll be a stronger War Queen for having tasted the mistake. And that is, I'm told, something you still wish to be? Yes, Queen Dalakana, I confirm. I'm interested in seeing the Tyr Basin firsthand for that reason. Well, my island is open to the both of you, Queen Dalakana says. I don't often get visitors, and frankly, I like it that way, but I can be a graceful host from time to time. Let me show you to the quarters I've had prepared for you, and then you can explore to your heart's content. Thank you, Queen Dalakana, Tala and I both answer. Please, dearies, just Dalakana is fine. I was friends with your mother before. Well, that whole debacle happened. Forgive me, isolation has apparently made me overly talkative. Come along. Tala and I share an awkward glance before doing just that, following Dalakana out of the building and into the Eustos stunning city that it is a part of. Rolling waves of pale stone dominate the space in front of us, while behind us lies the largest mass of water I have ever seen in my life. Crystal clear and deep,
The impossibly large lake from which the Tyr Basin gets its name extends so far into the horizon that neither my eyes nor my soul sense can feel the end of it. Nor, for that matter, the bottom of it. There's no gradual incline into the depths like I'd expect from a lake. Instead, below the edge of the water is just a sheer drop into the cold, wet gloom. All of it is teeming with life, from the surface to the deepest depths I can feel, and many of the souls down there are the sort of massive meals that must belong to unfathomable leviathans. I wonder if we can swim down there at some point during the trip.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Dalakana asks.
We conquered this place for the resources here, but it pleases me to know that the basin is so large we'd fail to drain it even if our civilization lives 100 times longer than it already has. And that's without accounting for the replenishment rate. Whether by natural coincidence or machination by the one below all, it rains far more often here than nearly any other island. Do you like the rain, princesses?
Can't say I do, I answer idly, most of my attention still focused on the beautiful view. Cold, wet,
dangerous. I've always hated rain.
I've only seen rain the one time it happened when I was here last, Tala says. I thought it was pretty. I assume, therefore, you're giving the opinion of your second set of memories, Malrosa?
Dalakana muses. I'd be surprised if you remembered the experience.
They're all my memories,
I dismiss. I'm not going to pretend they're segregated when they're not. As a human child, I would often get close to freezing to death on rainy days. Or starving. People stay inside during rain when they can, so there wasn't much food to beg off of people or steal either.
That sounds utterly wretched, Dalakana says after a brief pause.
It was.
Yes, I confirm. Not much else to say other than that. I sure as fuck don't intend to defend Skyhope's reputation. Dalakana's expression is once again blank, so I take the opportunity to practice reading her soul. Her core is mostly the same purple color as her dress, which, given her skill at Numa, may very well be intentional, but there's a tension to it, an underlying pain that infects the color until it's no longer beautiful. That's a mystery for deeper investigation, though. Her more immediate emotions are primarily
calculating. Is she judging me?
I suppose the progenitor was upfront about the fact that she'd have me watched. I suppose I have no problem with that. I have nothing to hide anymore. As if due to some unspoken agreement, the three of us turn away from the Grand Lake and head deeper into the city. The many teleportation platforms are right next to the water for obvious reasons, as are the multiple water packaging and storage facilities for easy teleportation. The platforms themselves are spaced apart around the circumference of the lake, however, to make sure there isn't too much metal in one place. Not even the opulent wealth of the Athanatos is immune to the hunger of the Mistwatcher. The city itself shares the same design philosophy as the building the teleportation platform was housed in. It's slightly hilly but overall fairly flat, and all of it is smooth. Even in the few spots where the hills get steep, there are no staircases, only switchback ramps artfully carved into the earth. Surprisingly, despite how everything is made of smooth, often wet stone, nothing feels particularly slippery. Some kind of varnish seems to coat the roads, giving everything plenty of grip. It's also beautiful and interesting. It's also empty. Nearly the entire city is devoid of intelligent life. Men work in large numbers by the water, but between there and what I assume is around the area Dalakana lives, nothing. There are birds, there are cats, there are rats and bugs and all kinds of other animals I can't identify. But no people. This place is almost as big as Skyhope, yet it's almost entirely empty. Presumably, of course, because most people who used to live here died. Not all, though. I feel a collection of sapients deep under the city, their souls all slowly rotating like spirals. I suppose that's probably a group of rebels. Or possibly just people trying to stay alive. Tala talked to me about Abarians, reminding me what the fuck they even are. Apparently they're mostly flat, and have 4 tentacles, which made me really excited until I learned they were merely fleshed tentacles, with one eye on the end of each. What makes Abarians interesting is how they have a giant mouth-like bit on their underside that they use to wrap halfway around rocks and sand them down into spheres with a combination of natural acid and specialized movement organs that can rapidly rotate said rocks. Once they have a stone ball, they mount it and spin it around to move from place to place, somehow staying on top of it the whole time. They sound absolutely wild, but more relevantly their wacky biology explains the design sensibilities of this place. There aren't any stairs because Abarians don't have legs. Everything is smooth and slanted to prevent hard hits against walls. If someone going too fast takes an upwards curve instead, they won't be as badly injured and their stone is less likely to break, an occurrence that they doubtlessly try to avoid if at all possible. It would be like being unable to walk without shoes. Care and attention is put everywhere to make simply moving around nice and easy. It's all much more orderly than Skyhope. There's a level of forethought and empathy to every part of the design which shocks me. I can only imagine what this civilization would have been like at its peak, but now I am just walking through its bones. We killed the people who made all this, we took it from them, and now we're leaving every part of it that isn't immediately useful to slowly rot away. This was the plan for Verdantop. The one I need to change, or else my family will suffer this fate, too. It's not like Vulca is just going to roll over and happily accept me as their new ruler, though. Some people are going to have to die. How'd you manage to keep so much of the city intact when you were taking over? I ask. Combat Pneuma, Dalakana answers simply. Soul-seeking arts don't deal damage to structures. Ooh, Aiku. That's exciting. I don't know a lot about that whole category of art, but... Of course you don't, Dalakana cuts me off. You're a princess. 55 going on 15. These are not the kind of arts we teach children. I'm a bit taken aback by the snappy reply, but I form a politely apologetic expression with my eyes. I understand, I tell her. It's just of particular interest to me, for reasons I expect are self-evident. I start to extend a few tentacles out of my soul, which I watch various hexes of Dalakana's eyes focus on immediately. Ah, so she's been watching my soul this whole time. Interesting. Not that I blame her, of course. Simply by manipulating my own nature, I can attack souls directly via a few methods, I explain. This is not something I was taught. It is not an art I weave. It is simply part of what I am, due to my nature as an animavore. And, well, recent events have made me more desperate than usual to truly understand what that means. What am I? Who am I? How do I work? My limited knowledge of Pneuma is no longer sufficient to self-investigate these questions, as my soul no longer conforms to the standard the progenitor crafted at our inception. To look deeper, I must know more. Dalakana doesn't answer for a while, seeming lost in thought. I let the silence happen, walking slightly behind her as she continues leading the way to our rooms. The only thing that can truly kill us is destruction of the soul, she muses slowly. And the only form of permanent damage we can take is, again, damage to the soul. Of course, I am alone here, so I would likely be taken by the one below all if my body were to die. But on Liriope? The other queens would come to you in an instant, cradle your spirit, and birth a new body for you in a month. Thus, we do not give children the only weapon they could use to slay themselves. It is prudent. I know neither of you are fools, but you are still young. You do not know what immortality means. You do not know real loss. There's another pause, and Dalakana shuffles her arms with discomfort. Or at least you didn't. And more importantly, you now have the very blades we try to keep from you by withholding this. You could kill me, couldn't you, child? I'm taken back a bit by the question, not really having thought about it. I take a brief, more critical glance at her soul. It'd be difficult, I admit. But yeah, I could. Assuming I got the jump on you, at least. She gives me an odd look. Does relative altitude matter? She asks, clearly confused. I stare at her a moment. Why? Why is this happening to me? When did my life become so backwards? I mean, I would need to ambush you, because in an even fight you would easily defeat me, I explain. Yes, that was my assessment as well. To that end, I suppose there is wisdom in bending the rules for you. More knowledge will make you more controlled, which is a far greater value than merely making you less dangerous. I will, however, likely be too busy to give you any substantial tutoring. You are only here for a 10-day, are you not? Or 2, if we're having fun and it's alright with you, Tala supplies. It is no trouble at all, Dalakana confirms, a tired smile creeping up her eyes. You two are, as always, an utter delight to us old women. The gems of our colony, regardless of any recent changes. Just try not to cause too much trouble,
if you please.
I'll see if I can hold Mal back, Tala chuckles.
Me? I protest.
Like you're not a troublemaker. Remember Naga's last rebirth ceremony where, before she could move herself, you insisted that we...
That wasn't me.
Tala chirps fearfully.
That wasn't us. We didn't do that. Queen Dalakana, you heard nothing.
I start to laugh and the queen chuckles softly. Even Tala seems a little relieved by that exchange. She's still a bit uncomfortable with my situation, and reminds us that I'm still her sister tend to be reassuring to her. It's difficult.
I was there.
I did those things with her.
I remember.
But despite all that, I'm still a different person now. I love Tala, but she's still adjusting to the fact that she loves someone who isn't quite me. It hurts sometimes. And it's scary. Who am I, really? A lich made of stolen lives? A princess, granted new perspective and power? Regardless of how I choose to see myself, I am a thief of experiences. The entity that I consider to be myself, Vita, Malrosa, and the combination thereof, is not a naturally made person. I'm a horrific cobbling of two strangers, a mix of memory and monster, simultaneously belonging more and belonging less than I ever have at any other home. It's existentially terrifying, which on one hand is a new and highly unpleasant emotion but on the other hand is much preferable to the just regular sort of terrifying that I'm used to dealing with. I'm happier than half of me is used to being, so that's a good thing, right? Right? Naturally, I don't find answers to my questions over the course of the walk. Once we arrive at our destination, it doesn't take long for Tala and I to get our rooms set up, what with our retinue around to do it all for us. Dalakana leaves us with a pair of men that can escort us anywhere we choose, then wanders off to presumably go do queen shit or whatever. Well, Tala asks, leaning against the wall of my room.
It's your vacation. Where do you want to go first?
Well, I haven't eaten today yet, I remind her. So let's start with breakfast.
It's lunchtime now, but sure.
Then what?
I point down below our feet.
Wanna go meet the rebels living in the sewers?
She gives me a dumbfounded look for a while, realizes I'm serious, and then immediately starts groaning in despair for some reason.
Mal,
she whines.
You just got killed by rebels. Do you really want to go looking for more? What other Iberians am I gonna talk to? I counter defensively.
Come on,
it'll be fun. They're less than a mile below our feet. One quick jaunt and we'll have a friendly conversation. It'll be culturally enriching. She walks up to me with a glower on her face, planting a finger right on the curtain between my eyes. Don't you dare end up turning into an Iberian, she orders. Don't even think about it. If anything happens, if anything even kind of looks like it might happen, we teleport out of there.
Deal, I agree.
You bring any armor?
I'm dressed in one of my sets,
of course, but Tala has yet to adopt my supremely practical fashion sense. Yeah, I'll go put it on while you eat, she sighs.
I mean it,
okay?
I'm not gonna let you get hurt again.
No matter what.
We won't get hurt, I promise her.
They aren't very strong. They'd be idiots to fight us, and I just wanna talk. This is not gonna go smoothly, Tala mutters to herself, heading for her room as I order myself breakfast. She's just being silly, of course. Of course it's going to go smoothly. Everything on the whole damn island is smooth.